Classical music is dead. It's a bold statement, right? Sounds like a done deal. A beautiful art form that's now, a museum piece. But is that really the whole story? Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. Be honest with me. Can you name a single famous classical composer who's alive today? Go on, think about it. I'll wait. Yeah, for most of us, it's just crickets. And that silence right there, that's what this whole argument is about. But here's the thing. What if that silence isn't the sound of death? What if it's just the sound of us not listening in the right places? What if the music never actually went away? Maybe we're the ones who just stopped looking. So, to figure out what's going on, we gotta start where you'd expect to find classical music thriving, right? The concert hall. The problem is, for a long, long time, walking into one has felt, well, a bit like walking into a museum. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is not some new hot take. The legendary Leonard Bernstein called it decades ago. He literally said symphony orchestras were turning into museums, places that weren't about creating the new, but just preserving the old. They became curators. So, you gotta ask, how did we get here? Well, it really comes down to some pretty simple, powerful stuff. First off, money. Orchestras are crazy expensive to run, and they need to sell tickets. And what sells tickets? The hits. Beethoven's Fifth, Mozart. Stuff people already know and love. Programming something brand new, that's a huge financial risk. And what's wild is, this is a total flip from how things used to be. For centuries, you went to a concert hall to hear the latest thing, the brand new stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. It looks like the museum might finally be renovating. For the longest time, the numbers were not great. Data from the League of American Orchestras showed that back in the 2015 season, only about 12% of pieces played were by living composers. But check this out. Fast forward to the 2023-24 season, and that number has almost doubled to over 22%. Something is definitely changing. The doors are creaking open. Still, for decades, the culture was set. We weren't really going to premieres anymore. We were going to reenactments. We wanted to experience these masterpieces again, almost like a historical reenactment, not discover something new. Okay, so that's the museum problem. But our skewed perception isn't just about what's happening now. It's also about how we see the past. And I think of it as the Mozart Illusion. You know how we picture it, right? The 18th century was this magical time, with guys like Mozart and Beethoven just cranking out masterpiece after masterpiece. But that's just the highlight reel. The truth is, the 18th century was a musical free-for-all. It was a super crowded, cutthroat industry with hundreds of composers all fighting for a gig. And almost all of them, well, we've never heard of them. And that's the core of it right there. History is just an incredibly ruthless filter. It wasn't that the past was full of giants, it's that the filter of time erases almost everyone else. I mean, think about it. Even a titan like Bach was pretty much forgotten for almost 100 years. So what's the takeaway? It's that the exact same process is happening right now. History is sifting through the composers of our time. We just don't have the 200-year cheat sheet to tell us who the Mozarts of our era are going to be. Which leads us to the big reveal. The reason you can't name a living composer isn't because there aren't any. Oh no. It's because there are so many, and we're living right in the middle of that great historical sorting process. The new music is absolutely here. It's everywhere. So you think no one's writing or listening? Let's look at the data. BachTrack, which is this huge database that tracks performances all over the globe, gives us the top 5 lists for 2024. At number 1, Arvo Pärt. Then you've got John Williams, that John Williams, followed by Philip Glass, Carolyn Shaw, and John Adams. These aren't obscure artists. These are giants, and their stuff is being played all the time, everywhere. Let's just zoom in on that number 1 spot for a second. Arvo Pärt. In just 1 year, 2024, his music was performed almost 1,000 times. Let that sink in. 951 times. That's not some niche composer. That is a full-blown global phenomenon. And what's really cool is that this new canon is way more diverse and exciting than the old one. Just to give you some perspective, one piece by Caroline Shaw got more play in 2024 than the entire body of work of any woman composer just 10 years ago. That's insane. And you have pieces like Jennifer Higdon's Blue Cathedral that are basically modern classics already. Plus, we're finally seeing a huge rise in amazing composers of color like Gabriela Ortiz and Jesse Montgomery. So the canon isn't dead, not by a long shot. It's just getting bigger and better. Okay, so if all this great music is out there, why does it still feel invisible sometimes? That brings us to maybe the most important point of all. It's not about the music. It's about its place in our world. Think back to the 1780s. A new Mozart symphony, that was the Super Bowl. It was the blockbuster movie premiere. That was pop culture. Now, fast forward to today. What's classical music competing with? Everything. Taylor Swift, the latest Netflix binge, Fortnite, TikTok. Our attention is being pulled in a million different directions.
And that's really the heart of it. Classical music didn't lose its creativity. It didn't lose its genius. It lost its monopoly. It went from being the only game in town to being one choice among thousands.
But here's the final, and maybe the biggest twist. Because while we've all been wondering where the great new orchestral music is, it's been hiding in plain sight. It's been absolutely thriving in the most popular media in the world. I mean, just think about it. The score to Star Wars. That's John Williams. That's a symphony orchestra. That music is arguably more famous than most 19th century symphonies. Look at streaming. A guy like Ludovico Einaudi is responsible for 1 in every 12 classical streams in the UK. That's huge. And get this, major orchestras are selling out concert halls to play the music from video games. This is it. This is brand new, often incredibly complex orchestral music, and millions upon millions of people are listening to it. So that just changes the whole conversation, doesn't it? If orchestras are packing houses to play film music, and millions of people are streaming these new scores, can we really say orchestral composition is dead? Or did we just forget to check Hollywood and the video game industry? All right, so let's wrap this all up. Let's answer the question once and for all. So is classical music dead? Absolutely not. It isn't even sick. It has simply transformed. It's broken out of the museum, it's become way more diverse, and it's putting down roots in some really unexpected and frankly exciting places. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. The world today is just completely different. The technology, the audience, how artists get paid, it's all changed. So if a genius on the level of Mozart were born in the year 2000, where do you think they'd be working? Would they be struggling to get a symphony programmed in a concert hall, or would they be scoring the next big thing on Netflix?